Hello, I'm Matt Boyette. This is my brother Mark Boyette. We're both former route guys. We're on the hill team now. We've seen a lot of guys on the hill team who aren't proficient in fixing big damage.
Nope.
We're here to help you do that.
Yep.
We're here to help you wade through those waters and know how to get access and the right tools and tips and direction on fixing this larger damage stuff. Because LOAs are coming, boys. Levels of achievement on hail is coming, and you guys are going to be required to fix this stuff if you want to level up. So we're going to show you guys a basic, pretty customary dent you're going to run into out on the streets, and show you how we, Boyette Brothers, would approach such a dent. What do you think?
Yeah. That's kind of the big thing. The industry's changing and we need to adapt to it. We're being required to fix stuff like this oftentimes, especially in Australia. They want you to tidy up non-customary damage all the time, and so they expect perfection, and so that's one of the reasons for the LOAs, and so that's why we're trying to just show you nothing too crazy, but something that is common and something that we're required to fix. So we're trying to stay a step ahead of the competition and beat them on every level.
Hey, and if you get in a body shop, they're going to ask you to fix this stuff, and you're either going to be the guy who can or the guy who can't. So I will always be the guy who can. We're trying to help you guys and girls be the people who can. So sit back, relax, and check it out. So what we got here is a Jeep Patriot. Right front fender, we got a pretty good sized dent crushing right through the body line. We got a few things going on here. We got some wheel up action. We got a body line. We got a roll. We got contour, and we have some good distance from the tire to the dent, which will throw a little bit of the leverage game off. But we're gonna show you guys how to approach it. We've got some transfer we're gonna clean off of there. Yeah. All right, step one, we're gonna take a rag and some compound and get that transfer off of there. It should come off with elbow grease. If not, we'll get the buffer out. I'm gonna get a clear picture of what we're looking at here. So this liner, didn't see any fasteners in it, at least not on the edge anyhow.
This tool. Step 2, torch. Then you're going to use this with leverage.
Three hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Oh, and it's so soft and pliable. Just get it out of the way.
We're gonna take this dog bed out of here. The first tools we're gonna grab to start this dent is this flat bar. It's Dent Wizard standard issue, made by Ultra now. It's got the 5/16 female on the end that takes some of these bigger tips. This is a new style tip that Dent Wizard gives out. It's a shorter version of some of the others that you might have seen. You can ask Mike Orr about it. He can get you them for $3.50 or free. So we want a bigger style tip for the end of that bar.
Like this
We
one.
want to move lots of metal pretty fast without making high spots. The other thing is the approach on this dent as far as the angle that we're going to work it, because obviously access makes us work this way, but also the way that this panel is shaping, we're going to be wanting to look down it. We're not necessarily going to be wanting to look up it. So we're going to be like this anyhow, just to better access this dent. One hand on the tool, steadying it, keeping it from flopping over, I like to put my thumb on the back. You can also apply pressure with your hand as you're applying pressure with your other driving hand. And prying off of the tire. Sometimes you can turn the tire outwards and it'll give you a little bit different angle to give you better leverage as well. But this is what we're gonna start the dent with. We're gonna start it through this body line. I'm gonna start pushing where this body line should be. I'm gonna run this body line as much as the dent allows me, keyword. Because you don't want to try to force anything. The metal should want to move like water, and you should not be trying to force anything. So as much as it allows me, I'm gonna work this body line. When it starts fighting me, then you're gonna stop, and you're gonna go to some of this smile and do some smile work. The first is this. Another thing that helps, especially with this type of or style of dent, is preheating it. Preheating it is going to soften the paint, it's going to soften the metal, it's going to make everything way more pliable and less apt to crack the paint. So you want to be careful with this, especially with a torch, so you don't overheat it and burn the paint. So a heat gun is probably better or safer, especially if you're not used to using it. These torches will do really quickly. Heat guns are more middle of the road if you're not used to it. Get a heat gun, get it really, really warm to the touch, and then you can start pushing. Okay, so what I did was I went ahead and pushed this body line as much as I could, as much as it gave me, not fighting it. And while I was in there, I went ahead and reduced some of the bigger shallows. Obviously they're not fixed, but they're reduced. Took a lot of that depth out of it, or size out of it, and then I stopped and we're going to knock down. So we're gonna knock down some of this crown up here on both sides. We're gonna knock down some of this smile around the bottom part.
All right, so this is what I'm gonna attack some of that crown with, and the smiles down around the bottom and through here. This is gonna move a lot more metal, a lot more gently. It's not gonna make as much of an impact as, say, a metal knockdown would. So I'm gonna start with this first. One thing that you do not want to do at this stage of the game yet is to get rid of any kind of smile completely. What you'll wind up doing is creating a low spot if you start knocking down the smile too much. You'll just want to kind of give the dent a little metal and then continue to push the dent out. And then as you continue to push the dent out, we're going to move the board further back, and then we're going to knock down the smile some more and then push the dent out, and then continue that process until the dent's fixed. So at this point we're only going to knock down a little bit, and then we're going to continue to push. So one thing they'll tell you in the LOAs when they're explaining to you how to fix this dent, they may have talked about it a little bit in the original class that everyone went through for the 2 months, but you want to start after you get the main depth of the dent out and a good majority of the smile out of the dent. You'll want to start pushing with the smallest panel first. And what I mean by that is this is considered a panel where a body line meets another body line. So this is a panel, this is a panel, and then this is a panel. And the reason that is because the smallest panel is going to have the most strength out of that fender. So if you start with the biggest panel first, if this was all one piece, and you push this out, you're going to pinch up the dent when it comes to this body line. So you want to start with the smallest panel first and fix that about 75% before you proceed to the larger panel after that. So we moved our light around because what we've done is we've created some diagonal creases in here from working it one way. So we're just cross-checking it and working this body line, the bottom side of this body line, to get out any vertical creases that we've created by working it the other way. Diagonal creases. I'll show you what I'm doing over here. I have my hand on the bottom of this bar, and this is where I'm getting my force from, and I'm balancing the bar up here. But because this dent requires a little more force than what my arm can do, I'm using my knee and my body weight to help push that dent out. So it's lessening the fatigue on my arm and my shoulder, and I'm using my body to help push the dent out. I'm gonna change knockdowns because I'm wanting to get a little bit more precise on some of these smiles and some of these pushes that I made, and the other one's just moving a little bit too much of the metal than I want.
What knockdown are you using?
This is VIP 2.0. Okay, so now that I've cross-checked everything, I'm gonna go. Now that I've cross-checked everything and worked it as much as I can this way, I'm gonna flip back around to the original angle and continue to work the dent as it was originally made. So I've went ahead and changed my tip from that red one to this ultra tip. You can remove the rubber piece. So I'll work some of it with the rubber tip on it, and then I'll take it off and I'll just go metal to metal.
Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch tips again from that rubber tip. We got a lot of little micro crease going through here, a lot of this little micro low stuff.
Mike Rowe?
Tight.
Dirty Jobs guy?
Nope, nothing like that. Just tight little lows that we're gonna go in there and muscle them out with a metal tip. We're gonna do a little knockdown too. Open some of this up so we can push it.
So most of the dent is pushed out to a spot where it's just flat. We'll finish that up later, but what we're left with at this point is all along here is the point of impact. And if you look really close in the light, the paint is stretched. So what we have to do is knock down around it and make this crease bigger and then get the center out. Because if you push through here, you're just gonna bust the paint. So this is the point of impact that affected everything else. So this is the last part to get flat before we do our finish work.
What are you using? What tip are you using?
I'm gonna try this black plastic one.
Crazy.
It's pretty dense. Like that.
I'm using metal.
On this particular vehicle, this whole fender is wide open, so you can get to the top. There's some directional things going this way in it. I'm gonna attack it from the top, hitting those directional creases with this bad boy. This is an OG Johnson, no screw-on tips, all bendable, all decrepit looking handle. That's how we're gonna go after this.
You should have said, if you have a tool like this, reach out to Mike or he'll give you a new one.
Man, that's perfect, man. Here it is all done. We've got the liner put back in. You can see, it looks really good. That's about the quality finish we're looking for. So anyhow, I hope that helped. Hope we showed you some tricks and pointers. And thanks for watching. So here it is, guys, all finished up. Got the liner put back in. Dent came out pretty good. There's a little bit of transfer mark that we could take farther and sand and buff out impact to it, but done. In our book, it's done. So come check it out.